Welcome to the Weather Gurus podcast for this Sunday, November 6, 2022, for the lower 48 United States, and also the tropical update. Please be sure to subscribe, support, donate to the Weather Gurus channel as we continue to bring you the interpretation of weather as it relates to the lower 48 United States, and I thank you for your support. Right now, we're looking at a current satellite radar composite of the United States, and it's a cold front advancing eastward through the mid-Atlantic, the northeast, and the southeast. This cold front will bring showers extending through the I-95 corridor from New York, Philly, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, and into the interior Appalachians, the spine of the Appalachians. These showers will be light in nature, non-severe, and as you can see, heavier showers are extending into the Lehigh Valley just north of Philadelphia and into New Jersey as well. These showers will continue throughout the morning, and the afternoon will be clearing sometime between 2 and 4 p.m. Eastern time. But it still remains somewhat overcast and cloudy until the front clears the area. There's some showers in the middle of the nation's heartland, extending from a corridor from Lincoln, the I-80 corridor from Lincoln and Omaha, Nebraska, through North Platte, Nebraska, and into northeastern Colorado, just to the east of Denver. There's a few snow showers continuing in the Rockies. These snow showers will continue throughout the rest of the morning, and also for the SLC, the Salt Lake City area, I-15 corridor from Provo to Salt Lake City up through Ogden, Utah. These snow showers will continue around the Great Lake, Salt Lake Basin there as well. Elsewhere, the Southwest, the desert Southwest looks beautiful. Temperatures are average in the 80s Fahrenheit from Phoenix to Tucson back through San Diego, California. And also we have some showers in the Pacific Northwest. These showers will continue to come in as a front comes through that's going to drop the temperatures down and bring high mountain snows to the Cascades and the Sierras. So it's raining right now. If you're coming through the I-5 corridor from Olympia, Tacoma, Seattle, Everett, over to Victoria, showers will continue there. Heavy rain that will continue in that corridor as well. We have a slight little Alberta Clipper system in the North Dakota area. So if you're in Minot and the bases and the oil fields up there, there is snow showers in the Canada, Regina, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. These snow showers will continue throughout tomorrow as well. There's something to look out for. That is our national picture. And we're going to go to the National Weather Service hazards we have here. These are your current hazards. As you can see, heavy mountain snows extending in the Sierras. We have those warnings in the pink right now for the outlining for the winter storm warnings in the high Sierras from Lake Tahoe down through Bridgeport and into the lower and up the Mount Shasta and Redding and all the typical areas where you would see winter storm warnings. You could get up to 1.5 feet of snow from this system here. There is in the purple, we have winter weather advisories in the Cascades, so change will be required in Snoqualmie Pass, White Pass, Richards Pass, those areas that get the heavy snow, as well as in the Bitterroot chains in Montana and Idaho as well as winter storm advisory for that. Elsewhere, we come out to the plains. We have red flag warnings continuing for South Dakota, from Pierre, South Dakota, down through Minneapolis, St. Paul, over toward Iowa as well in the western corner, and we also have those high wind warnings and as the winds whip around the advisory due to Alberta Clipper system, high wind warnings in North Dakota and Minnesota, western Minnesota as well. Now down south along the Gulf Coast from Biloxi, Hattiesburg through Alexandria and Hammond, Louisiana, we have a dense fog advisory for the morning hours, so please be careful. Visibilities are less than a mile down there in the Bayou State. And so be careful down there. Elsewhere, everyone looks clear as far as advisories goes. And so that looks absolutely fabulous. Now we turn our attention to the tropics. We have a National Hurricane Center. We have two areas of interest. The first area of interest is just to the north of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. This has a 90% chance over 5 days of development, according to the National Hurricane Center. This broad area of low pressure will continue to move north-northwest through the Bahamas and eventually impact in South Florida, somewhere between Jupiter, West Palm Beach, and Miami, Florida, according to the GFS model. Now, whether or not this system becomes a depression or a tropical storm, or a subtropical storm, because it basically means a cold core low instead of a warm core low, which we're used to seeing. But we're in the later part of the season. This is the last month of the hurricane season, as you know. If it does get a name, it'll be Nicole. And then we also have another system out here that could become become Nicole first, east of Bermuda, a couple hundred miles east of Bermuda Islands in the Atlantic Ocean. This is a 70% chance of development. So if this one forms later on by Monday afternoon, it will get Nicole first. Subtropical Nicole, and then this one here will be subtropical Storm Owen, if it forms. This is later on, this is a couple days out, so we're talking by Wednesday morning, we'll have this system here approaching South Florida by Wednesday or Thursday morning as Owen, if Nicole and Owen. So those are the next two names on the list. The good news is this is right in line, climatologically speaking, where we will see more storms form closer to the Bahamas, closer to the northwestern Gulf, Caribbean Sea, out by the Gulf Stream, the Atlantic Gulf Stream out that way. So this is right on time. And so this will put us at an average pace for the hurricanes. This will be a 14th and 15th named storm here if both of them develop at the same time this week, and that'll put us right at the average numbers that the Colorado State University and the Weather Channel predicted earlier in the beginning of the year as far as the named storms and things of that nature. So looking at the forecast models here, courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com, we can see that we have the GFS model here. We advance it, the cold front comes through, and there's not a lot of really cold air, so that's good news. You can see these warm red dots, warm red lines here. We see the system down south developing, that low pressure system developing and making landfall twice in Florida, and then we see another shot of cold air, but the cold air, as I posit here, is confined mostly to the upper Midwest, the Dakotas, Montana, Minnesota, Chicago area, Great Lakes area, and it doesn't really come down into the Sun Belt area of Texas, Florida, even in the Ohio Valley. The cold air barely extends there. So the next week or so, 2 weeks or so, doesn't look to bring a lot of cold air. There's another surge or push of warm air and rain that comes in, and this is what we typically see during a La Nina year. So this is going to be a very abnormal year, probably a less snowfall event year as we get closer to the meteorological winter in December 21st for the Northeast and the upper Midwest. Okay. We may see a burst of snow, but we may not see those typical blizzards that we would normally see during that time of year. But first of all, we got to get through this fall, and this fall we haven't seen a really cold side of really pressing area of cold air that doesn't come probably toward later the end of the month here. As you can see, the isobars in the cold air comes in toward the 20th or the last 10 days in November. We see a cold push coming in here with the blue isobars coming down from Canada, of course, coming down through upstate New York, down through Pennsylvania, through the Mid-Atlantic, and through North Carolina. So we'll see if that happens. If that push comes through, that'll be our first real cold shot of air that brings down the highest low temperatures and the low highs. So we'll see if that happens later on in the month. The GFS model is forecasting that for later on in the 20th to the 30th, for the last 10 days of November, for that really cold air to come down and bring some snow showers through the lakes to kick up the lake effect snow there and some of the typical lake effect prone areas. But elsewhere, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your weekend wherever you are in the United States. It looks to be a fabulous weekend. There is no severe weather going on right now according to SVC, so we're absolutely looking like a fabulous weekend besides the brief rain showers, popcorn rain showers you may experience in the south. Okay, so this has been the weather report for the November the 6th, 2022. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.